you need more weapons for your Gunpla? Well, that is why I'm running through all of these kits right here of different kinds of weapons you can use with your high-grade Gundam kits. Now this right here is the Aim Warrior at the Borderline Weapon Set 2 from Kyokai Senki or Aim Warrior. Now these may or may not be usable with Gunpla, and that's exactly what I want to find out. Of course they are usable with Kyokai Senki kits. They're not usually the most popular. I will admit though they are fantastic, so if you haven't tried one, I would recommend trying them out. And if you're wondering whatever happened to Aim Warrior at the Borderline Weapon Set 1, well so am I actually. I built it before and I don't know where I put it. But anyway, let's crack this open and try these out with some Gundam kits. So first off, getting everything out of the box, and when it comes to one of these boxes, these come fairly packed, even though it looks like an average sized high-grade box, which, you know, is kind of impressive for just weapons. This does come with a lot in here. Now, some of this stuff is sold, or should I say is included with some normal Kyokai Senki kits as far as I remember, because I do recognize some of the weapons, like this here Gatling gun, but it is nice to be able to get them sold separately. The one thing that I'm really interested in here is the Uzis. I want to see if they work with Gunpla, or if they don't. This right here is the manual, so these build up exactly like you would expect of these kits. Some of the stuff, like I said, I have seen before in other kits, especially this kind of rifle. Now this rifle over here, but I don't recall it having the drum magazine. It probably did, to be honest. I think maybe the one that came with Kenbu had that. We also have this long glaive, which I'm pretty sure I've seen before, but hey, can't remember anymore. Let's get the build. Okay, I got all the plastic out, and one really handy thing here is it does tell you in this little section right here which runners you need for building the part that you want, which is handy for some desk organization. So I need H1, which it says is actually from Byakuchi, which is interesting, and G1, which I'm pretty sure I saw before as well. Build here I'm just going to do with double snip of the God Hand, nothing special and no cleanup. And that is just one snip off the runner and the second snip off of the piece. Assembly of these is super simple. They're not really made out of all that many parts. They just attach together. Two parts for this here grenade launcher, and then the little sight segment just attaches on like so. So you get a lot of payoff for not a whole lot of building. Of course, there is just the one color, but that's usually the case with high-grade weapons. Also in here, we've got this assault rifle like we would have seen before, with either the Byakuchi or the Kenbu. I think it was the same one, just a little bit of a variation, and this does have a removable drum magazine, which is always something that I love. Next up, we've got a mecha-sized machete. This is just one piece, and once you snip it out and cut it out, it looks just like that, so simple. Alright, when it comes to testing these out today, I've got a little bit of a lineup of some kits here, starting with the RX-78 Beyond Global. Just have a bit of a generic Gundam with a generic holding hand to test them out. Next up then, I've got the high-grade Narrative Gundam because it has a trigger finger, because a lot of these weapons do seem to have trigger fingers, so it'll be interesting to see if it will fit with that one. I grabbed another kit with a trigger finger off the shelf, and that is the Atlas Gundam. Wow, it's actually kind of hilarious to see the size difference between the Atlas and the Narrative right there. And finally then, I will be throwing a Master Grade into the mix as well, mainly because this one does have posable hands, and these are large-ish weapons because they're for 172 scale kits, which are about this size right here, which is, you know, close-ish. I'm not going to be trying out any Kyokai Senki kits with it today because, well, that's what they're for. Of course they work. But anyway, so the first weapon that we have in here is this grenade launcher. At least it looks like a grenade launcher to me, with the big old barrel up front and this kind of closing opening mechanism here. It doesn't actually open and close, it's just molded into the weapon. So testing it first with a standard holding hand with a Gundam kit, and these are high grade, so I'm wondering if they do fit or not. Well, yeah, it definitely fits. It fits at a bit of an awkward angle because basically the AIM's arms allow for this little weapon to fit in like so, but it can fit. It is a bit humorously huge, but it still works if you want a big old weapon for using with your kit. So next on the agenda is the Master Grade. Now I'm using the Master Grade 3.0 for the main reason that it does have those kind of completely posable hands. Now, there's a little bit of an idea of the size of the weapon compared to it. It doesn't look too bad. Again, these particular Aim Warrior kits are 172nd scale or 172 scale or however you say that. So it does mean that the weapons are a little bit different. Now the trigger finger is not going to fit in that trigger. So it's just going to have to be trigger discipline in it. Yeah, but on the whole, that doesn't seem like it's really going to work out at all. So you would have to modify the trigger in order for this to work. But yeah, that ain't working. So that right there is what we get in the end. As you can see, that finger was a little too thick for the hole, so you might be able to modify that and doesn't kind of rest underneath it too well. Honestly though, it's a good size. It's not too bad, and it is an option if you're not too against trying to make it fit. But anyway, next weapon. So this one right here, I might as well try with this because, well, I do have him in hand at the moment. This is working out a little bit better already. Throw that in there. It's being held a little better. These hands can be a little bit awkward in their own right, but that right there is what we get. I'm sure if you actually kind of clamped the hand a little better, moved it around a little bit, it would fit a little better, but it's not so bad. If you wanted yourself a bit of a militaristic kind of vibe, this could end up working with the right amount of actually kind of getting the fingers where they need to go. You may need to widen the trigger a little bit, but hey, that is not too bad. Not too bad at all. Swapping out the big old RX-78-2 there for something a little smaller. Let's try it out with the high-grade narrative Gundam. It does have a trigger finger hand. The chances of this actually fitting are slim maybe. But anyway, trying to open up the hand and see if perchance this will fit. Well, I'll be damned, it's looking like it might. Try to just get this piece on. What an awkward angle I'm going in from. What the absolute hell. Bandai, I am impressed. Talk about keeping the high grades able to hold high grade weapons regardless of what they're from. That is cool. Seriously, how good does that look? Now, I'm only messing around here. I actually didn't expect this to work at all. I didn't realize how compatible Bandai's hands were across the lines. Like, this is a kit, it's only from 2019, I think, so it's not that old of a kit. But these fit. I am shocked. This looks so... How good does that look? I am impressed. Such potential here. That is awesome. I feel like it's an absolute shame having to take that out of the hand anyway. Now I'm totally curious if it fits with the same sort of hands we have with the Atlas. Now I'm not sure just how compatible kits like this are, which are from a few years ago, but I guess it's only about time to find out. Stand up straight, would ya? Testing it out. Getting the trigger finger in. It feels good. There is a high potential chance. Oh yeah. It totally fits. How long has Bandai been making these trigger finger hands exactly the same across kits? Oh man, the potential here is so high. Once again, mighty impressed. So there we go, that's what it looks like in the hands of the Atlas Gundam. It fits entirely. Trigger finger is in the trigger slot. It looks so good. Again, I do know Bandai is focusing on compatibility quite a bit in a lot of recent kits, but this is mad, and this is a kit from a few years ago, so wow. You know, I'm just messing around once again with this video. I did not expect this to fit. This is a lot of fun. You can just imagine this in some kind of cool militaristic colors, almost like a Zaku green or something like that, with a weapon like this. That would work out so cool. Next weapon. Next up in the instructions, it tells us to grab this runner right here, which is runner I, which it says is from Kenbu-san. So let's see what we got on here. So the next thing seems to be a kind of arm-mounted weapon. How we'll actually make this work with some stuff, I'm not sure, because it seems to be particularly designed to fit on the Byakuji. So now this one right here, I'm not sure who this might fit onto, because it is a 3mm peg at a funny angle, which is set for a particular Gundam. Actually, no, it's an AIM. So none of the Gundams I mentioned earlier on that I was going to use in this video have the more usual 3mm peg for attaching on a shield. So I just grabbed the aerial ride here to give it a go because it looks like it could be a good fit. I know Gundam Barbatos Lupus and Lupus Rex has these kind of arm bits, but I don't have either of those handy. What the hell? I mean, that fits like a glove. What the hell? I mean, even the width of this thing is absolute perfection. It fits like it's meant to. I am so shocked by this fit. Let's see if we can get into a bit of a pose with that. There is no rotation, sadly, in the forearm of the aerial, but maybe we can get into some kind of position anyway. And that right there is what it ended up looking like. Look at that. That is a pretty cool looking arm-mounted weapon on the aerial. It does get in the way of the arm a little bit towards the top. But that's cool. Even the angle is nice, the way it kind of isn't directly parallel to the arm. It has a little bit of an upwards angle for shooting. That That is cool, that is awesome, and unexpected, again. And of course that means, next weapon. Next up on the same runner, we do have one of those backpacks. Now I'm pretty sure, well, all of, if not the main Kyokai Senki kits come with one of these. This does not have the standard Gunpla backpack or high-grade backpack, so sadly you won't be using this directly with Gundam kits, but this does have 3mm pegs on it, so you could probably use the arms if you wanted to. Once again, this is the standard Kyokai Senki backpack in. Move its arms up and around just like so. These only, like I said, work with Kyokai Senki kits. Nothing really new to see here. Next up, we've got some backpack missile launchers. These are super simple, just 2 pieces once again, followed by a third, and then a central backpack piece just like so. So that's what we get. Alright, so once again I had to call in reinforcements. This right here is the Zoort, and the reason I chose this is because this backpack right here and this backpack right here that I built earlier on are not compatible with the current crappy lighting by the looks of things, but yeah, they're not compatible with regular Gundam backs. So what I'm actually going to do is just steal the arm and steal the missiles. And the reason I'm doing that is because behind the Zoort's boosters up here in the shoulder, we do have a 3mm peg. So that to me implies this should be attachable onto it, which it most certainly is, giving some nice, intense armored core vibes that, well, it already has them, but now it's got them even more. So if we can just, attach the weapon on like so, there we go. We've got an armored core style arm that will bring the weapon all the way forward like so, in that armored core kind of way. Sadly, right now he can't grab onto it because it's up there flying on the tick belang, and I don't plan on taking it off, but that totally does work, which also means that the missiles that we have in here should work too. So they'll pop on, and they kind of emulate the shape of the boosters that we had on here, but they can just swing up and over just like so to allow all the missiles to just flow forth. Of course, as we saw in the build, there's not many parts to this, so nothing does open up here. So not quite as fancy as what we would have seen recently with that 30-minute missions missile pod. Next up in here, we've got a big old massive sword, if you could even call it that. It almost looks like a hobby knife with a little bit of a piece attached to it. This is just 2 parts, you cut it out, and this is what you get. So this right there is the blade part, handle up here, and it's one of those things I absolutely love about Kyokai Senki weapons. Just like iron-blooded orphans, they're just big old hunks of metal. Alright, so trying out this massive hunk of a weapon, and so far everything's working out really well, so I assume this one right here will fit too. Going to try this out with the traditional, or should I say non-traditional, RX-78 when it comes to this version right here. These are standard high-grade holding hands, so if it works with this, it'll work with most modern high-grade Gundam kits, and so far, that fits like an absolute glove. So Bandai is keeping high-grade stuff fitting with high-grade stuff, regardless of what this series is. So if you've got a high-grade kit, and you want a big, almost barbaric-looking slab of a sword to use, this one right here will fit. And that right there is what it will look like. That looks ridiculous. This might be my favorite thing in the box. I thought my favorite thing would be the Uzis. Well, I guess we're going to see just yet. But this just looks so good. It's just a hunk of metal for chopping things. This has to be my favorite kind of Gundam or mecha weapon. Just a big old hunk of metal. Once again, very iron-blooded orphans. Alright, so getting it out of the hands of the high grade, so we can try it out for size with the master grade. Once again, these are the posable style hands, so this doesn't really check compatibility with, well, fixed hand kind of master grades, and those aren't all the same. Definitely not. Not as similar across the board as high grade whatsoever, so these ones, at least, you know you'll be able to hold on to pretty much anything when you pop them into the hand. Now this doesn't look as overly huge, this looks a little bit more in proportion, which kind of takes the fun out of it a little bit. And that right there is what it would look like. I'm not going to pose this guy up too much because it has a little bit of a habit of shedding parts, but that right there will give you a little bit of an idea of what it looks like. Looks good. That means next weapon. Next up then, moving on to Runner H1, and this is from Melee's Reiki Kai. So we're going to be building a bit of a big old glaive. So this, once again, is super simple. Just snip it out. It's made out of 3 parts. You just put the shaft section into the big old blade, and then you just sandwich it in with this tiny little part. That is it. Once again, looking just like a big old hunk of metal, and we do have a little bit of a retraction kind of gimmick going on here, so you can almost make it down into a sword-ish kind of vibe, or for storage. So what we're trying right now is the next big old sword kind of weapon. This right here is more of a glaive than a sword, but when it's actually slid down like this, it has a little bit of a sword vibe. Oh, narrative likes to do that. But yeah, this does not have anything that needs to be removed in order to slide it into the hand. It goes in super simple like so, and there it is, tested out for size. Looking quite good. So yeah, that is definitely a nice big old hunk of metal weapon. That looks nice. Getting it into a little bit of a quick pose so we can see what it looks like attached in, and there is something like it. My light over here has died. Replace it with one that is not dead. And there we go. That is what it looks like attached in, and that is pretty cool. So just flip it like this. I'm not sure if it'll fit in the trigger finger hand like that, but anyway, there's the extent. Maybe, oh, it will fit anyway. That's pretty good. And there we go. There is it at full glaive. So if you want yourself a bit of a big old Gundam spear for some attack, then this is something that works extremely well. Next weapon. So the next weapon in here is the Machete, because of course any big old mech needs to cut its way through the jungle, and well, this time we're going to try it once again with the narrative Gundam. So just the same, pop off the back of the hands, pop it into the hand like so, pop it onto the narrative, and that's what it looks like. Honestly, this is quite crazy and hilarious. We've got a 3mm hole in the top of it, so it means this can be used with any kind of peg for storing it on whatever Gundam you want, 30-minute missions, or an AMAIM warrior if you want to. This is a funny and awesome but cool idea. So next up in here we've got the Gatling gun. Now this is exactly the same as the one we saw with the, I'm not sure if it's the Jogan Kai is what it says right here. So I have actually built this before, but I don't think I actually did a review of that particular mecha. And this is a very nice and detailed Gatling gun right here. Now this is totally tooled and designed to work with an AMAIM, so it may not actually work with something like a Gundam or Gunpla. It's made out of a whole lot of parts and a frame that will go around the actual AMAIM in question. So this is what it looks like when it is done. So the biggest thing inside the box is this here Gatling. It's very nicely detailed. It's cast all in grey like everything in here. And it is available sold in another high-grade Kyokai Senki kit. So this is more of a like greatest hits box of weapons that come with other units. The Gatling can actually rotate inside like so. And this whole thing can open at this point, and then you can open it like this to throw in your AMAIM. As you can see, it's shaped to an AMAIM's body, and around on this side right here, we do have this little bit that drops down, and that is for popping in and storing your Uzis when they're not in use. So I'm mighty curious as to how this will turn out being used with a Gundam, which of course is not the intended mecha, but I'm going to try it out anyway. It may look a little on the funny side, but sure, who cares? Okay, so it attaches on like so. These clip on in like that. So it does kind of work. Almost looks like you'd be able to like build some kind of funny tank kind of thing. It works. That works to some degree. We've got some handles in here. You can manage to pop the hands on while the Gundam's in there. So not awful. And there we go. I have actually seen wackier looking Gundam weapons out there. So this isn't the worst. The actual unit that uses this has some little back legs to kind of like hold it up in a kind of quad pod kind of way. But yeah, there is also a little bit of a ribbon ammo belt thing you can attach in there like this, but I feel like it's going to get in the way. And yeah, I suppose, what can I say? That's what it looks like. But finally, it is the moment of truth. The moment when I find out if these Uzis can actually work with a Gundam, and the Gundam in question is going to be the Atlas, because we've got two hands with trigger fingers, and this should be pretty awesome. So attaching these into the hands, it works totally like everything we've seen before, so I assume because it works with this kit and it works with the narrative, most post-2016 kits with trigger fingers should work with these weapons, but then again, I can't guarantee that. But man, this is a lot of fun. The Atlas Gundam with this pair of Uzis is the reason I wanted to make this video in the first place, because I wanted to try it out. They are a little bit wiggly in the hand, a little bit, ever so slightly, so you can get that kind of effect. That's kind of fun. But yeah, what can I say? That was the whole purpose of the video. I wanted to try out these weapons with some Gunpla to see if they work. So if you wanted to grab yourself a Kyokai Senki weapons kit for your Gunpla, but didn't know if it would really work or not, if you'd have to modify all of that stuff. But it seems like for the most part, you can use this stuff. Bandai has kept high grades quite compatible, thankfully, and this just works out so well. The weapons especially with the high-grade kits looks superb. I am so impressed. This right here with the double Uzis, like some kind of 2000s or was it 90s Tomb Raider-ness about it. That's pretty cool. Anyway, they totally work. I'll throw a link in the description if you want some of your own. I got mine through HobbyLink Japan. You can too. As always, thank you so much for watching, and make sure to come back for more Gundam and model kit reviews. And I'll see you next time. So this video right here would not have been possible without each and every single one of you guys who watches my videos, and all of these awesome people right here who help out on the channel memberships and over on Patreon, including 10 Soldier YT, Abraxas, Caleb Engelhart, Dashel Marmion, Go Little Rockstar, Joe, Lauren Sehak, or G95061, 10 Soldier YT again, and Van Fawn.